Which car from Clint Eastwood's garage can reach high speed in just a few seconds? Why was the Ferrari Berlinetta Boxer given that name? Which car, in just one movie, captured the heart of Clint Eastwood and millions of other car enthusiasts? You'll find the answers to all these questions in my video. Today, I'll tell you about the cars that once captured Clint Eastwood's heart. Imagine it's the early 90s, and you're a successful American. And you bought yourself a sports car like a Chevrolet Corvette or a mid-engine Italian Ferrari. And here you are, fast, sleek, and stylish, stopped at a traffic light, and next to you is a regular pickup truck. The pickup driver challenges you to a duel to see who's faster. But you know who's the fastest here, and you agree, the race is about to start. The engines are already roaring, the traffic light gives the signal to start, and suddenly your opponent doesn't take off but just vanishes from the spot, leaving only dust behind. What do you think about trucks now? No one knows for sure how many owners of fast cars had to seek psychological help after such humiliating races, but there were certainly quite a few. After all, this pickup was not the fantasy of a mad lone tuner, but a serial factory product. It's important to understand that this happened in a time when even regular crossovers didn't exist. Sports cars were separate, passenger cars were separate, and SUVs were the antonym of the very concept of speed. And all of this was from the GMC Typhoon. This vehicle can be considered the grandfather of all modern super crossovers. For those times, its specifications were simply incredible: 280 horsepower, 475 Newton-meters of torque, which were delivered to both drive axles through a 4-speed Corvette automatic transmission. It was precisely thanks to the all-wheel drive that the Typhoon achieved such sensational dynamics. The specification stated something incredible. The vehicle could accelerate to 60 miles per hour in 4.7 seconds. In addition, the Typhoon could cover a quarter mile in 13.7 seconds. Actual measurements by car and driver were slightly different, 5.3 seconds and 14.1 seconds, respectively. But it was still faster than the Ferrari 340 ATS, which was compared to the Typhoon at the time, not forgetting to note the huge price difference. The Italian sports car cost $122,000, while the American pickup was only $29,000. And yet, the Typhoon accelerated much faster than the Ferrari. Clint Eastwood mentioned in an interview that he still drives a Typhoon. And that's not surprising. Even in today's world, the car looks great and can impress many. Maybe not with its speed, but with its phenomenal start from a standstill. Now, the price of a Typhoon exceeds $170,000, despite the fact that at the time, this car did not gain much popularity and was discontinued a year after the release of the first model. He was reluctant for a long time to put a car with a mid-engine layout into production, believing it would be too difficult to handle for inexperienced drivers. Only after being convinced of the safety and effectiveness of this layout with the example of the 6-cylinder Dino sports cars, did he agree to the development of a 12-cylinder car with a similar design. This is how the Ferrari 365 GT4 Berlinetta Boxer came into existence. The engine operation of this car resembled a boxing match between two fighters, which is where the name came from. The power of the Ferrari 365 GT4 Berlinetta Boxer was 380 horsepower, and the torque reached 480 Newton-meters. Additionally, the flat engine provided the car with a low center of gravity and allowed the 5-speed manual transmission to be placed underneath it in a single unit with the rear drive axle. The black air filter boxes protruded above the engine compartment cover. The Ferrari Berlinetta Boxer laid the foundation for the brand style for 2 decades ahead. The violin string-like aluminum grille was integrated into the front bumper and concealed rectangular high beam lights behind it. The pop-up dual-round headlights were positioned above the amber turn signals, level with the silver ventilation grille. And on the rear panel, 3 round taillights were arranged in a single row on each side. The Ferrari Berlinetta Boxer went on sale only in 1973 and was recognized as the fastest car in the world at that time, 2 years after its debut. This time was spent on testing and refining the design, but the initial shortcomings could not be corrected. Ultimately, from 1973 to 1976, only 378 units of the Ferrari Berlinetta Boxer were produced, including 88 with right-hand drive. It is believed that the Ferrari Berlinetta Boxer was purchased for Clint Eastwood as a gift by Italian producer Dino De Laurentiis after filming the movie The Witches. Surprisingly, Eastwood quickly became a car mechanic after deciding he didn't like the roof. The actor removed it in 1978 and kept it in new condition until selling it around the 1980s. Currently, the price of a Ferrari 365 GT4 Berlinetta Boxer reaches $400,000. The 1972 Torino finally lost its connection with its racing past, but in return gained comfort, handling, safety, and quietness. These characteristics were typical of higher-class cars. It remained the only mid-size model from Ford and was available in 3 series: the Base, Gran Torino, and Gran Torino Sport. The most striking appearance was that of the Gran Torino Sport, featured in Clint Eastwood's 2008 film, Gran Torino. In 1972, Torino sales reached 496,645 units, surpassing the figures for the Chevrolet Chevelle for the first time. And thanks to the film, the Gran Torino Sport regained its former popularity. It was after filming that Clint Eastwood bought himself a Gran Torino Sport. The Ford Torino retained its body shape, but became larger in size and heavier. Externally, the Gran Torino Sport was hard to confuse with another car. At that time, there was a clear distinction between the base Torino and the Gran Torino. The former had a rectangular grille spanning the entire width of the body. The latter was radically different from all previously released Fords. The memorable features were the huge hood and the small rear end. The car resembles a classic Coca-Cola bottle in profile. A striking feature was the chrome detailing on the front and rear lights. The latter were combined into a single line, which, along with the sloping roof, looked quite stylish. For the first time, an oval radiator with 2 decorative teeth at the bottom was used. According to the creator's idea, it resembles the jaw of a killer whale, a kind of challenge, an echo of the rebellious 60s. The rear suspension was raised for the same reason. There were a total of 9 modifications. The main modifications were the roof, which had no support inside the cabin, and the 4-door sedan. The length of the car was 16 feet, and the cabin was 10 feet. This was typical for a regular American car. The dashboard was equipped with everything necessary, from a speedometer to a clock and a temperature gauge. The maximum engine power of the car is 280 horsepower. The torque exceeds 400 Nm. Acceleration to 60 miles per hour in 7.3 seconds. The price of the Gran Torino Sport is $100,000. Among the South American Indians during the period of the conquest, there was a widespread legend about the golden city of El Dorado, which translates from Spanish as the Gilded One. This city was located somewhere in the snowy Andes. According to the legend, a ceremonial ritual was held there, during which the chief was covered from head to toe in gold dust, and then he was immersed in a lake where immense treasures were kept. All of this inspired the Spaniards to undertake numerous expeditions, but no one ever succeeded in finding the mysterious city or the treasures from the legends. Since then, the word El Dorado has become a symbol of a wealthy and luxurious life. That's why in 1953, the Cadillac company chose it as the name for its most expensive model. The first Cadillac Eldorado was indeed gilded. This car cost $7,750, which was almost twice as expensive as a regular Series 62 convertible and 5 times more than a basic Chevrolet coupe. Created by the great Harley Earl, the 1950s Cadillac Eldorado went down in history as one of the first dream cars available for public sale. Today, just like in the past, this car is valued much higher than its successors, as only 532 units were produced in the first year. The car was equipped with an independent front suspension on springs and a rear drive axle on leaf springs. Hydraulic drum brakes were on all wheels. In addition, there was a 4-speed Hydramatic automatic transmission. The list of standard equipment also included power windows and power steering, a novelty for Cadillac. There was also a soft top with a hydraulic drive that folded under a metal panel. This added more than 220 pounds of extra weight, which significantly affected the dynamics and fuel consumption. The Cadillac Eldorado convertible impressed with its luxurious design and was advertised as the most exciting car ever created. Like the Series 62, a considerable amount of chrome was used in its exterior design. The imposing bumpers with long dagger bullets attached on top stood out prominently. Distinctive features of the Eldorado included the cut-off upper door lines, panoramic windshield, and spoked wheels with white-wall tires. The car's engine maximum power reached 300 horsepower. The maximum torque was 447 Nm. The price of the Cadillac Eldorado exceeds $150,000, and Clint Eastwood is a proud owner of this car. The first person to see the great sports potential in the Mini was John Cooper, owner of Cooper Car Company and creator of Formula One cars. He tested the handling of the compact car and approached his friend, Alec Isagones, with a proposal to turn it into a racing car. Initially, Isagones was skeptical and did not agree, but Cooper convinced him of the project's potential. And by 1961, the result of their collaboration was presented the Mini Cooper. The car was primarily distinguished by its excellent handling, maneuverability, and stability on any road. These characteristics were enhanced by front disc brakes and a gearbox with a modified gear ratio. The designers of the Mini Cooper created it for rally participation, and to meet the requirements and standards, it was necessary to produce at least 1,000 units of this model. Despite the price starting at £569, the demand for these cars exceeded all expectations. Over 10 years, the company sold about 135,000 Mini Coopers of all modifications. Mass production ceased in 1971 with the introduction of the updated Mini 1275 version. Nevertheless, in Spain and Italy, the classic Cooper continued to be manufactured by the companies Offi and Innocenti. Thanks to its excellent handling and compact size, the Mini Cooper navigated turns perfectly, making it unbeatable in rally and circuit races. For competitions, the cars were equipped with a second fuel tank and a vacuum brake booster, as well as additional headlights along with a spotlight on the roof and a safety cage in the cabin. The first rally victories in a Mini were achieved by women, Patricia Ozan in the Geneva Rally in 1960 and in Pat Moss, and in Wisdom in the Women's Monte Carlo Rally in 1962. The most famous achievements of the Mini Cooper are the first places in the Monte Carlo Rally in 1964, 1965, and 1967. These victories were achieved by Paddy Hopkirk, Timo Mäkinen, and Ronno Aaltonen, respectively. At the same time, the maximum engine power of the car was 75 horsepower, and the maximum torque was 107 Newton-meters. The speed of the Morris Minor Cooper S was 99 miles per hour. After hearing all this about this little racer, I think you won't find it surprising that Clint Eastwood owns several of these cars. The price of one Morris Minor Cooper S is $30,000 because over 5 million of these cars were produced at the time. In the early 30s, among American luxury car manufacturers, there was a trend for multi-cylinder engines. In response to the Cadillac V16 and V12 models, in 1932, the Lincoln Company launched a separate series. Cars of this series were equipped with a 7.3-liter L-head V12 engine with 150 horsepower. The car with the old V8 engine, whose power was increased to 125 horsepower, was now called the Lincoln KA and had a short wheelbase of 136 inches. Both series this year received a more rounded radiator grille and 18-inch spoked wheels. In addition, they featured Bendix Duo Servo brake boosters, vent doors on the sides of the hood instead of grilles, and marker lights on the front fenders. 7 types of custom-designed bodies were manufactured by Murray for both models. Most often, the Lincoln KA had black fenders and a red badge on the radiator grille, while the Lincoln KB was painted in 2 tones of the same color and had a blue badge. The 7-seater Lincoln KA sedan cost $3,200, while the price of the Lincoln KB varied from $4,300 to $7,200, depending on the body type. Body companies offered 24 different styles, with each atelier usually specializing in its own type of body. Brunn produced convertibles, Willoughby made limousines, Dietrich specialized in coupes and 4-door convertibles, Judkins crafted sedans and coupes, and Murphy focused on phaetons and roadsters. Lincoln sales in 1932 amounted to 3,406 vehicles, of which 1,765 were from the KA series and 1,641 from the KB series. Almost 19% of the annual production, which is per 100 cars, were purchased by the Soviet Union for servicing officials and foreign tourists. The maximum torque of this car is 396 Newton-meters. The price of the Lincoln K Series exceeds $100,000, and such a rare car is owned by speed enthusiast Clint Eastwood. After the successful launch of the Jaguar XK 120 Roadster in 1948, most British manufacturers wanted to replicate that success. Many companies started producing their own cars of this class. This was necessary to enter the American market, where European sports cars were in demand. The Austin company offered the A90 Atlantic convertible, but it turned out to be too expensive and underpowered, so it sold poorly. At the same time, Donald Healey was looking for a replacement for the outdated Riley engine, which had been installed in his sports cars since 1946. The racer decided to build a prototype of a new model on the Austin A90 chassis to later demonstrate it to the Austin management. In 1952, he presented a roadster called the Healey 100 at the London Motor Show, where 100 referred to the top speed of 100 miles per hour. This car instantly became a sensation and made an incredible impression on Leonard Lord, the chairman of the newly formed British Motor Corporation. Instead of supplying finished chassis, Healey was offered to set up car production at the Austin plant in Longbridge. As a result of this agreement, the famous Austin Healey brand was formed. The car was based on a steel ladder frame with closed rectangular section, longitudinal elements. The front suspension was independent, with coil springs and transverse arms, while the rear featured a solid axle on semi-elliptical leaf springs. The car was equipped with wire wheels and Girling hydraulic drum brakes at the front and rear. Overall, the chassis was inherited from the Austin A90. The inline four-cylinder Austin engine produced 90 horsepower. This was enough to accelerate the nearly 2,000-pound roadster to 105 miles per hour. The transmission on the Austin Healey 100 was slightly modified. The 4-speed manual gearbox was turned into a 3-speed, but overdrives on the second and third gears effectively made it a 5-speed. The steel 2-seater open-top body was manufactured by Jensen. It had a low ground clearance and protruding rear fenders, as well as a folding windshield and a diamond-shaped grille with vertical bars. The soft top was raised manually. It required 2 people and took at least 10 minutes. The car could be equipped with a removable hardtop upon request. The Austin Healey sold very well. From 1953 to 1956, more than 14,500 units of the 100 series were produced. The latest models of Austin sports cars gained a cult status in the 50s, when Clint Eastwood and Steve McQueen each acquired one. The price of such a car now exceeds $150,000. Today I told you about just a few cars from Clint Eastwood's collection. His garage holds many more fast and rare cars, and each of them is not just a means of transportation, but an entire era, reflecting the spirit of the times and engineering achievements. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and leave comments. See you in the next episode.